Good morning. Happy New Year. Welcome to Sunday Morning Leadership. I'm so happy to see all of your faces here this morning. And I'm happy to be here. I've been off since mid-December on vacation. And I've developed a habit. I was just telling Kelly, I've developed a habit of not working. So today I woke up and went, I have to go back to work. Good morning, Rhonda. I haven't seen Rhonda in a while either. So are y'all all back to work and back to normal schedules now? Close? People make New Year's resolutions all the time. I've never been a big one to make a New Year's resolution, but I've heard more than anything this year people saying they have a word for the new year. And so I was going to tell you what I came up with for mine. And see if anybody else had any words for themselves for the new year. Mine was myself. Not in a selfish way. I know that sounds like, myself. It sounds selfish, but really just to work on myself, to work on my health, to work on my mental and spiritual well-being, to work on learning new things that I need to know, to learn what's important, what I need to be doing and what I don't need to be doing, because I think last year I got wrapped up in a bunch of things that were maybe not what I should have been focused on and let myself get too wrapped up in it. So this year I'm going to focus on myself, on creating a better me. Does anybody else have a word that if you can tell me, I'll just repeat it in the microphone because we are streaming live. If you didn't know that, we do stream this class live every Sunday. And please tell people about this class. Please tell them to come to this class. We want to build this class. It's an important part of the church. Mitch is now helping put these classes together as well as teaching. So we're going to have some great topics this year. We spend a considerable amount of time talking about what we want to do in these classes and what is needed. So does anybody have a word or a New Year's resolution? It doesn't have to be one word. Anybody have anything they've decided to do this year? Art. Obedience. Gosh, that's a good one. I think that's part of mine, too, of myself, is being obedient. That's a good one. Does anybody else have a word, Mitch? Kelly? Don't look back. That's great. Because we do get wrapped up in the past and tend to live there. Yes. Yes, I do it myself. Mitch, what is yours? Okay, a different perspective. Elaborate a little bit. Okay. So in different situations, just looking at it from a different perspective. Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Amen. We all need to be doing that. We all need to be doing that. My husband is a big griper about travel, about being on the road, about other drivers. Oh, my gosh. And so I'm like, Mark, you know what? I did that yesterday. And it was because I looked away or my seatbelt was too tight and I was there was something that caused me to do that. And so I'm like, so that's absolutely true. Look at it from somebody else's perspective. Not just our own limited, because we get so locked in and laser focused on what we think and what we're doing and where we're headed and all of that. So that's great. Does anybody else have anything? I better myself. I really am just focused on that, yes. And like I said, not in a selfish way, but to be a better person and a better me. And I think that's a good thing for all of us, too. I meant to bring my calendar to tell y'all some upcoming things, and I didn't. But one thing I do know is Saturday, January 10th. Is that this coming Saturday? This coming Saturday, it's the all-church prayer boot camp. We had one last year. This is our second one. We have a great lineup of speakers, and activities that day, you do have to register. It's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You do have to register, and the reason is we're providing food. So it's just important that we know how many people are here. Do I need to order food for 60 or do I need to order food for 150? It matters. So try to get used to registering. New Beginnings is famous for not registering. It's because we've never done it, and now we're trying to implement it. And it is so helpful in our planning. How many tables and how many chairs do we need to set out? How much food? All of that kind of stuff. So get in the habit of registering for everything that requires a registration. Because we do it for one reason or another. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's just a head count, whatever it is. So does anybody know, Rhonda, do you know of anything else that's happening January? There's a Watchman men's breakfast. It's either the 17th or the 19th. It's the following Saturday after the boot camp. Was anybody here for New Year's Eve? I saw online that there was like 200 people in the building. And I saw all the photos of it. The photos were great. So I guess it was a fun time. I went to bed. I go to bed on New Year's Eve. I've never been one to stay up. I'm not a partier. I know a lot of people just like it's a tradition to stay up and welcome in the new year. I do it the next morning when I get up. I'm an early riser, so. Okay, so this month, so the name of this class is Sunday Morning Leadership. We'll get in a minute to what that means, but this month, our class is going to be on developing the leader within you. And we're using a John Maxwell book for our source content. We always and only use material that, number one, is based on the Bible, and number two, is not contrary to anything Pastor Larry teaches. Because as you know, we're a unique ministry. We look at things from a Jewish perspective. So we don't want to teach out of something that is contrary to that or to anything else that Pastor Larry. This is Pastor Larry's ministry and Pastor Tiz. We don't ever want to. So if you notice, I didn't bring my Bible today. We're going to kind of talk about that in a minute. But just know that this book and John Maxwell are biblically based. He always has been. Pastor Larry speaks about him from the pulpit. He's known him for years. They're friends. From a long time ago when they were still in Portland, and they've been here 20 years, so they're longtime friends of his. So it's called Developing the Leader Within You. This one is 2.0. He's written another one previously years ago. This one's much better. I was in real estate when I first found John Maxwell's book, and we were all expected to be leaders. And I think there's a misconception about what a leader is or what the purpose of leadership is. If you get a chance, get this book. He's really good about lists and breaking things down so it's easy to read. It's not a hard book to read. Most of his books are not hard books to read, and they're very practical. They're very user-friendly. They're very helpful in day-to-day lives. What he boils leadership down to, let me say first, these classes are called leadership, Sunday morning leadership classes. I think people have kind of misunderstood what that's about. They think, they want me to lead a class. They want me to lead a life group. They want me to stand up and talk in front of a group, which some people, that would send them running in terror. But that's really not what it's about, though. Leadership is about every area of our lives. It's about our families. It's about our work. It's about our friendships. It's about our jobs. It's about every part of our lives. And we aren't called to be leaders in the Bible. I just went through there when I started studying for this class and looked up the word leader and leadership and leaders and all that in the Bible to glean some scriptures from it. And I didn't find anything that was based on this teaching today, but because it was talking about the Lord leading people, Moses leading people. So there's a lot of leaders and leadership in the Bible, but nothing specifically about this lesson today. But the whole time I was studying this, for 2 or 3 days, studying this book and specifically this chapter today, because today is called What is Leadership? So it's about what is leadership, and we're actually going to boil it down to one word, what leadership is. But what kept occurring to me while I was studying was what Pastor says, tikkun olam, repairing a broken world. What John Maxwell boils leadership down to is the word influence. You can literally use it every time you use leadership. It's influence. Just think for a minute about Pastor Larry. He has influence around the world. Around the world. And we're going to get to these 5 levels of leadership in a minute, and he's definitely at the 5, which most of us won't ever go there, but he influences world leaders. Literally congressmen, presidents, prime ministers, other important people, other leaders in the world. He influences them. He started out, though, with his family. And then he started preaching. And then he moved to another church and another church. But all along the way, he was developing these leadership skills. And it served him in ministry. It served him in all of his political stuff, in his family, in the staff here at the church. It's all leadership because it's all influence. And I'm going to read, as we go through this, I'm going to read some things directly out of the book because I can't say it any better than John Maxwell does. Close to the end, I've got a handout that will tell you what these 5 levels are, but we're going to talk about them. But he starts out and says, everyone talks about it. Few understand it. Most people desire to cultivate a high capacity for it. Few actually do. He said he can put his hands on more than 50 definitions and descriptions. 50 definitions of leadership. 50. If you Google it, you get more than 760 million results for it. It must be important. And he talks about why it's become so important. Because people are recognizing that becoming a better leader changes lives. So that's the whole thing. And that was something I came up with that word myself to work on myself this year as my resolution, so to speak. After I read this, because people are recognizing that becoming a better leader changes lives. How many lives has Pastor Larry changed? You can't count them. Thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, literally, you cannot count the number of lives he's changed, and it's because of his leadership, his influence. And he's a reader and a studier, and he's definitely studied leadership and how to be a better person and a better leader, a better man, husband, all of that. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything. That's a strong statement. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And the world becomes a better place when people become better leaders. I can just see that so clearly now. After having read that sentence, the world becomes a better place the better leaders we all become. So developing yourself to become the leader that you have the potential to be will change everything for you. I believe it'll change everything for me and for all of us. It'll add to your effectiveness, subtract from your weaknesses, divide your workload, and multiply your impact. You can apply that to your family. You can apply that to your job, just to your everyday life. Maybe your kids are grown. You don't have little kids at home. Maybe you don't work, and you're just living, with your spouse or by yourself every day. Still, there's room for leadership, and there's room for growth for all of us. A lot of people say I'm not a born leader. Just like I was saying before, Some people might think this leadership class is, oh, they want me to stand up and talk in front of people, and I'm not going to do that. Some people are not comfortable with that. Some people do have natural gifts that let them lead at a higher level, but everyone has the potential to become a leader in whatever capacity. So leadership is influence. You can use that word just interchangeably. As we go through this study this month, it's going to be about this whole book. Mitch is going to teach. I think Nina's going to teach. And Pastor Nancy. And who? And Art. Not Nina, Art. So Pastor Nancy, Art, and Mitch will be teaching the other classes. They're already studying. They're already reading this book. We got this book in their hands in the middle of December. So everybody's already studying. This is such an important subject, leadership, influence. How many people do you think you influence every day? Because if somebody had asked me that, I would have said, nobody. I've been staying at home every day. We've done a major remodel on my house, which has been a nightmare to live in. But just a few days ago, we finally got all the furniture put back in place. It was such a relief, but that's what I've been doing for weeks. I haven't been working. By the way, my name is Yvonne. For those of you that don't know me, I met two people today, Harry and Kelly, that I did not know. My name is Yvonne. I'm on staff here at New Beginnings. I'm Pastor Nancy's assistant. And I also manage our graphics department here. And so if you see any posters or anything around, that comes from our department. And I also do all the travel for Pastor Larry and all the staff. So the class is going to be great, not just this month, because like I said, everybody's already studying, but the whole year we're looking for topics of things, because we talk to people in the church all the time, and so we hear things. And, if we hear something over and over more than once, 10 times or whatever, we start talking about, okay, this is something people are dealing with, something people are struggling with. So that's what these classes are based on, is what is the need and what's on the calendar. Is it National Health Month? Is it a First Fruits Month? Different things, because there's so many things to first fruits. It's not just an offering. There's an understanding behind the first fruits, of course. So we base the classes on that. So everybody has influence in the world, but realizing your potential as a leader is each of our responsibility. It's my responsibility. I don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to do anything with it, but it's up to us. We have the potential in us, and we're gonna do a little exercise. I'm not gonna make anybody talk or stand up. We're gonna do a little exercise at the end of the class, though. So think about the people who influenced you in a powerful way. Think about somebody from your past, some thing in your life, and you don't have to say it out loud. Think about some time in your past. It could be in 4th grade. It could be in college. It could be last week. Something that somebody said to you or did for you that influenced you and influenced your life in a positive way. There's negative ways too, I know that. But think of something that affected you in a positive way, somebody that influenced you in a positive way, some incident, some communication, something. That's influence. Probably you were influenced by that person, that situation, and you've probably used that in your life, and it's probably influenced somebody else. We influence people. There's a number in here somewhere. When I get to it, I'll tell you how many people we influence every day and how many people influence us. We want our influence to make a positive impact in the world. There's negative impacts every single day. Y'all hear it, you know it, you see it. People were, I live in Fort Worth. People were shooting guns constantly. For like a week, you would hear guns, and you could tell it wasn't fireworks. You could tell it was guns. One of them was a semi-automatic. I heard shotguns. I heard all kind, but like a constant barrage of gunfire, like they were celebrating, but are they shooting that up in the air? That's not a good. Those are negative. Those are negative things. So there's 5 levels of leadership, and not yet, but in a minute, we're going to hand out a handout that lists those 5 levels. But the first one, I think let's go ahead and hand that out, Laura, because that'll give people something to look at. There's also pens if y'all want to take notes on this piece of paper. I find that notes are helpful. I can remember it later. Not everybody's a note taker, but if you are, Laura's got some pens. So these 5 levels of position, these 5 levels of influence are position, permission, production, people development, and pinnacle. And pinnacle's the one where I said Pastor Larry is. He obviously influences people throughout the world in one way or the other. So we'll start with position. Start with level 1. I keep reading the word position. We'll start with level 1 called position. So people who have been appointed to a position may have authority. I have authority in the graphics department. They have to do what I say. I have authority in there because I was appointed to that. That's the reason I was appointed. John hired me and said, I want you to manage the graphics department. So that's what this is talking about. People who have been appointed to a position may have authority, but that authority does not exceed their job description. Positional leaders have certain rights. They have the right to enforce the rules. They have the right to tell people to do their jobs. They have the right to use whatever power they have been granted. If you think about that in terms of your family, you have the right to enforce the rules. You have the right to make your kids do what you tell them to and to use whatever power you've been granted. You have the right to do that in your family. So these are not only workplace rules. I hope everybody understands that. Not only workplace rules. This is for our whole lives, for every part of our lives. But real leadership is more than having been granted authority. If that was my only claim to fame, that John told me to be in charge, that's not much. But it's a good place to start when you've been appointed to something. So positional leaders, and we're going to talk about all 5 of these. Positional leaders look for security based on title more than talent. So they use their title, the position they've been appointed to, they use that rather than their talent. Positional leaders rely on their leader's influence. When I first started, I would always say, that sounds good. Let me ask Pastor Nancy. I still do a lot. But I would always use her name. Always use her name. And I've told my people in graphics, if somebody says this or that, please tell them and go talk to Yvonne. So using your leader's influence. Positional leaders can't get people to follow them beyond their defined authority. So if you're just at that level of leadership, that positional level, people only are going to follow you because they have to. You've been put in that position. So level 2 is permission. Leaders who remain on the position level and never develop their influence often lead by intimidation. And I have seen that in so many times because people get stuck there. They get a title and they use that to intimidate people around them in that title because they never go beyond that. They never learn beyond that. Permission is characterized by good relationships. The motto on this level could be written as, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We've probably all heard that. True influence begins with the heart, not the head. It flourishes through personal connections, not rules and regulations. Leaders who succeed on this level focus their time and energy on the needs and desires of the individuals on their team, and they connect with them. I've told my group in graphics on numerous occasions, I'm way more concerned about you as a person than you as your job here and what you can do for graphics. I'm way more concerned about who you are, how you are, and what you're going through and what I need to do for you. Because it is all about the heart, and it is all about people. It's all about people. All of Christianity is all about people. Everything in the Bible is all about people. Everything that Jesus taught in the New Testament, all about loving people. Love the Lord and love your neighbor. That's what the whole thing can be boiled down to that. Love the Lord and love your neighbor. You can care about people without leading them, but you cannot lead people without caring about them. It's true. They won't go along with you if they can't get along with you. That's just the way it is. On level 2, as you connect with people, build relationships with them and earn their trust. I had a family member a while back say, how do you have these close relationships? How do you do that? Well, I spend time doing that. I have a sister that's by herself. She's 70. She has a son, but he's in college. He's in and out. She waited till she was 47 to have her first and only child. So she's mostly by herself. She's 70. She still works. I make it a point every Sunday to go have lunch with her. Every Sunday. So I have another sister who says, well, y'all are so close. She doesn't have anything to say to me. Well, I talk to her every week. I ask her how she is. Ask her what she's going through. Ask her how her job. You have to build relationships. It's not an automatic thing, even in your family. It's not automatic. You have to build it. You don't have to if you don't want to, because sometimes I don't want to. There was 6 of us. I've been the youngest, so I've been bossed around my whole life. They've told me what to say, what to do, where to work, what to wear, every single thing in my life, and they still try to do that. Even though I just turned 64, they still try to tell me. So you don't have to, but okay, as you connect with people, build relationships, and earn their trust, you begin to develop real influence with them. That makes you want to work together more. It makes you more cooperative with one another. It makes the environment more positive. Because I can tell you the environment between me and my sister is different than the environment between my other sister and her. Way different. It boosts everyone's energy, and even in work settings, people stay longer and work harder. I'm going to have to take a drink. Thank you. That'll help. All right, level 3, production. Nearly anyone can succeed on the first 2 levels of leadership. People can receive a position and develop permission with little or no innate leadership ability. It's a fact that if you care about people and are willing to learn how to work with them, you can start to gain influence. But that influence will only go so far. To really get things going, you need to win on the production level. On level 3, production, people get things done. And they help the members of their team get things done. Together, they produce results. Think about that in your family, working together. Think about that at work. Think about that in your marriage. Think about that in every area of your life. Together, they produce results. That's when good things really begin to happen for the family, for the organization, for the group. Productivity goes up. People reach goals. Profit increases. Morale becomes high. Team loyalty increases, whether that's your marriage, your family, your work. Organizations with leaders who are effective in leading, and an organization can be your family. Please keep that in mind. We're talking about all the way from families, from marriages, families, all the way up to corporate jobs, but everything, every part of your life. Organizations with leaders who are effective in leading on the first three levels of leadership become highly successful. So organizations become highly successful. So your family, your marriage, your work life becomes highly successful. They start winning. And when they do, they start to benefit from what I call the big momentum. You know how what they say, there's some physics law, I'm sorry, I'm not a physics person, but about something in motion stays in motion. So once you get going, once this momentum is created, it kind of takes on a life of its own. And you kind of just keep doing it. They grow, they solve problems more easily. Winning becomes normal. Leading becomes easier. Following becomes more fun. Let me just say that too. The leaders and the influencers are the workers and the servants. It's not the people in charge, although it can be, but that's not what leading is about. Leading is about serving. Serving your spouse, serving your family, serving your job, any group, anywhere that you are. It's about serving. And it's about following sometimes. Sometimes I get to be in charge in graphics, and sometimes John says, don't do that. When I started working here, I placed myself under Pastor Larry's authority. It was a conscious effort on my part. I did it in prayer and placed myself under this authority because I felt this was where the Lord called me to be. I think I've been here 14 years now. This was where the Lord called me to be. And so everybody that's under Pastor Larry, that's above me, I'm also under them. And unless Pastor Larry says Jesus isn't the Son of God or something like that, it doesn't matter if I agree with him or what. I've placed myself under that authority. When you lead a productive team of people who like working together, family, work, whatever, you give others a reason to want to work with you, to follow you. For example, if you and a friend were picking players for a basketball game, and you could choose between me, this is John Maxwell, you could choose between me and LeBron James, it's clear who you'd pick. The guy that wins championships. You wouldn't ask somebody how to play football you wouldn't ask me how to play football, because I don't know. We want to ask somebody who does it successfully. You want the guy who can produce and inspire his teammates to produce right along with him. So that's what we're talking about, is inspiring people around us. I can see it's 9:30 already. I better scoot through this. We're on level 4, people development. Leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. I'm going to read that one more time. Leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. We use that in not those exact words, but that exact meaning when we write biographies for Pastor and Tiz. When they're going to go speak somewhere and somebody says, can you send me their biography? Empowering others is one of their main goals. They want to teach every one of us how to live in abundance, how to live that joyful life. And that's what we're all called to do, is to empower others, to create anything lasting, to develop a team or organization that can grow and improve, to build anything for the future. A leader's main responsibility is to develop other people. If you're in a work environment where your boss is jealous when you learn to do something new or you rise, that's the exact opposite of what we're talking about, because we're talking about empowering other people under you, around you, to do well and to even surpass you, to help them reach their personal potential, to help them do their jobs more effectively, and to help them learn to become leaders. Think about all the people Pastor Larry has mentored, has influenced, in all of his years that are leaders now. I can tell you there's several. I don't know if y'all remember, we had a Freedom Weekend. It might have been last year or the year before, and there was a guest speaker named Christine Baker. She was an unsaved heathen when she got into Pastor Larry's church, her and her husband. Unsaved and not good until they got in there. Pastor Larry and Pastor Tiz poured into them, taught them, influenced them, and now they have their own church in California, and she has a huge following. Has a huge following in California. Pastor Nancy's one of her followers. So this kind of people development leads to reproduction. So that's the whole purpose of it, not just for you to lead, but for you to pass on that. There's another side effect to this one, loyalty to the leader. And think about your family, your spouse and your family. That's where that was really important to me. Loyalty to the leader. You want your kids to be loyal to you. You want your spouse to be loyal to you, and they need a reason. They need a reason to. People tend to be loyal to the mentor who helps improve their lives. That's what we're supposed to be about. Tikkun olam. We're supposed to be about repairing a broken world. I'm going to go real quick through this last one. I'm going to skip these other parts just for the sake of time. And we're going to move on to level 5. The pinnacle. This is the one that I said Pastor Larry is at, and you'll see that it sounds just like him. It's a paradigm for leadership. I never like these words that are not self-explanatory. Paradigm, it just means a model. It means a model of something. So it's a model for leadership. These 5 levels. It's a pathway. They can be applied to every area of your life, both professional and personal. You're on a different level with each individual person in your life. Every time you add a level in your relationship with another, your level of influence goes up. You never leave behind a previous level. I was appointed the manager of graphics. I'm not going to leave that as I move up into these different levels of leadership. So you don't lose your levels. They're not replaced. If you skip a level and try to speed up, you'll have to circle back and earn that level. And that's an important part of this. You got to earn it. The higher you go up, the longer it takes. I always hate to hear that. Each time you change jobs or join a new circle of people, you start on the lowest level, and you have to work your way up again. Once a level's earned, it has to be maintained. No one ever arrives as a leader. Nothing's permanent in leadership. These are all things that we need to focus on every day, all the time, for the rest of our lives. It takes less time to lose a level than it does to earn it. These are John Maxwell's words. If you're like me, you have goals. You want not only to achieve success, but also experience significance. I think that was a word that I could have used instead of myself, although I thought myself was a little more global, but significance. Don't we all want to be significant? We don't want to be just invisible, not mattering in the world. We want to have a life of significance. We want our leadership to make a difference. Again, Pastor Larry, how much of a difference has he made in people's lives? And if you go all the way back, the guy that got him saved, Bill Trujillo, he died not very long after that. He probably, I don't know, but he may not have led anybody else to the Lord but Pastor Larry. But that one influence, that one word that he spoke that influenced Pastor Larry. And look at all, it's just taken on a life of its own. Again, you have to earn each level of influence with every person in your life. You may be on a different level with your spouse, than your children, than your sisters, than your job. All of those are going to be different levels of leadership. So our job today is to pick 2 people in your life right now with whom you want to intentionally build your influence. Is it your spouse? Is it one of your kids? Is it your sisters? Your parent? your child, whoever it is. So determine which level of leadership you're currently on with that person, with each of those two people. Whether it's the position, you birthed them, so that's a position, you're a parent. Whether it's the permission level, the production level, the people development level, or if you've reached the pinnacle with that person. So that's your homework today. Mitch, what is the class next week? Positive change. Art going to teach next week. Problem solving. It's a good one. So keep a look at this week. Keep looking at it. Come back next week, please, and the next week and the next week. And this is going to be a great series. So let's close in a word of prayer. Father, thank you for all the people that you've put in our lives that have influenced us. Thank you, Father, for opening our hearts to be an influence, to improve the lives of those people around us, to tikkun olam. Father, we just thank you and praise you. Amen.